Hey everybody, welcome to a long overdue follow-up video to the original Smoky Mountain Knife Works EDC video. So this is a follow-up to that video where I carried things from Smoky Mountain Knife Works for 2 weeks. Like I said, this is long overdue. It was just a little bit hard to try and figure out how I wanted to attack this video just because the gear was kind of underwhelming. So I didn't really want to disparage Smoky Mountain Knife Works because they are a very good online company. It's just for what you can get as far as an EDC setup, it was a little difficult to try and get everything. So this is the loadout that I did pick. So we have the Gerber Kettlebell. I think this is just called the CRKT Pry Tool. I forget the exact name. This is the pen that I was able to get, and this is, I think, combat ready. You can see right there. This was the flashlight, and this is a nightstick. As you can see there, MT100. And this was the night eyes, and I forget what this, I think it was just called the card tool, I think is what it was called. I don't remember the exact name of it, but this was the kind of wallet, I guess you could say, I went with. So this is kind of the overview of everything. So now I'll put everything to the side and go over everything individually. I'll start with the wallet and then work my way left. I'm going to take everything else off screen for the moment. So first of all, we're going to go for the Night Eyes card wallet, I guess you'd say. Really, it's just a very thin piece of aluminum with a rubber band, or not exactly rubber band, but yeah, I guess it is a rubber band, so to speak. You can see right there. And it has the bottle cap lifter that you can see there. It has this would be like the Phillips, but it's not really a 3D Phillips, it's just flat, but they say it's Phillips. And then a flathead screwdriver. If you're going to use this for just cards, it's not bad. But when you try and put cards and cash, it's kind of difficult. The cards are easy to slide in and out, but when you add cash to the mix, it kind of does make it difficult. This band isn't really like the most easy to get everything in and out. Like I said, cards seem to slide in pretty well. When you put cash in the mix, it just, for whatever reason, it doesn't really slide out real easy. So it was okay. Would not be my first choice as far as a wallet. It is very minimal, as you can see, very thin. So it's just really the amount of cards you would carry. It was okay. Like I said, wouldn't be my first choice. So next we'll move on to the flashlight. There's no real issues with this. I believe it is 2 AAAs. We can open it up real quick just to verify that, but I'm pretty sure it's 2 AAAs. Here you go. 1, 2 AAAs. Nothing fancy. I believe it only has one mode as far as the AAA or flight light, the light goes. We'll click that on here real quick. You see no other mode. So you can just do hold and press just for that, or you can press and continue this on, obviously. No real issues. It's not super bright. You can see there, I didn't drop this or anything, but the finish on this isn't real great. You can see where it wore, and I just carried this in my pocket, but for whatever reason, whatever they're coating this in, I don't know if it's just a paint or what have you, it did start to rub off. And like I said, I didn't drop it. I didn't mark it up. Nothing else sits in the pocket that I carry except my phone, but my phone is actually on the opposite side of this. This is actually the side that contacts the pocket, so I'm not exactly sure why it rubbed off there, but as you can see right there pretty clearly, the finish did rub off. So I'm not really sure what the issue is with there, but other than that, I mean, it's pretty inexpensive, but it's just a AAA flashlight. I mean, nothing real fancy. It works. It worked. I mean, I carried it, like I said, for the 2 weeks, but I mean, it's been over, I want to say over 2 months now, and you can see that the light still does work pretty well, and the batteries were included with that, so that is a plus. But it's, just an okay AAA flashlight, nothing really fancy. But I will say, like, the finish is not great, so there's that to keep in mind. Next we have the Combat Ready pen. This is actually a pretty good pen. Just a simple twist pen. You can see it does have the glass breaker. I'm not really a glass breaker guy, but it is what it is. It has it on there. But I will say the thing that was kind of cool is this does screw off, and it does, as you can see right there, it has a whistle on it, which, I mean, I guess in an urban situation, I mean, I guess that could be handy, and you're gonna obviously have to take it off, but I mean, that's kind of a cool little hidden feature it has there. It just screws right back in. I don't think there was any other additional features, just, you know, your typical pen. Unscrew it. Just a typical ballpoint pen, nothing really fancy about it. Like I said, it does have the glass breaker, I guess self-defense end, as you could say. You can pop this clip off and readjust it, because it actually was, you can see I had to, it took me a bit of taking it to pop off the clip, because for whatever reason it was set lower and I didn't like the pen sitting that low. So I moved it to this higher, and it will sit on this higher one. But again, just taking it off, it was kind of a pain. You have to actually, if you do get this pen, if you want to adjust the clip, you need to pull down from this spot right here. Because if you try and pull it from this end, it does not work very out. That's why this is all scratched up. I actually had to pry the top off from here. So that's how I got this off and adjusted the clip to where it sits a little lower in the pocket. Because you can see it sits higher up. There, you'll have like a third of the pen out, because normally it would sit on this location. Sorry, excuse me. This location right here. So it would sit, you know, about, you'd have that about that much sticking out of your pocket. But when I moved it up, now only really the tip sticks out. And I will say, of course, with that glass breaker, you just have to be mindful of it when you put this in your pocket. So next one, we move on to the CRKT Pry Tool. So this was pretty disappointing to be honest. I was actually looking forward to this, but it wasn't really all that great, to be honest. This part right here is pretty loose in here. I'm honestly surprised I didn't really lose this. These bands are, for whatever reason, not very tight. And you can see that bit in there is not real tight. And the other thing is, I'm not really sure where this bit is supposed to go, because if you put it in here, you can see it falls through. I don't know if it was meant to be put in this location, but even then you can kind of see it can't sit and it doesn't really move in there. The only spot I could think to put it was back here, in this little notch right here. And even then it didn't really sit, so I thought maybe if you put it in here, you know, where this groove is, and push down, it does hold it pretty tight. But the problem is, when you do that, this blade, which is supposed to be for paracord, you can see right there, it jams into that blade. So it kind of makes this almost useless. And I will say the other thing about this is that I actually cut myself pretty good, because I was gripping down on it and I got the meat of my finger in there, and it actually cut me because I was gripping on it. And when I was gripping on it, you can see at least for me, I'm not even all the way in there, but you really grip down, you can actually get your hand in there. And this is supposedly a sharpened wheel, and it did well. I know it is sharpened because it got me pretty good. So this was not really all that impressive. I know that you could take this wheel off. I mean, obviously it has, let's see right there. It has, I believe that's like a T6 thing, screw there. So you can take a T6 and unscrew that and pull that out. So you don't have that wheel in there. I mean, really the only function of this wheel is what they say is for cutting paracord. You're supposed to put your paracord in there and pop it through. Other than that, I don't really know of any other use for that disc. And like I said, the only location for this bit is in that slot, and it damages this wheel. So I don't really understand the concept of it. It doesn't really work all that well. And again, this bit is not really held because of the location of the bands not very well. And you can see it flops around pretty good in there. They really should have put one here and here, but for whatever reason, they chose it on the end of it, and it doesn't really hold all that well. So it was okay, but this is not one. If you were just going to use this for a straight pry, it'd be okay. But I would recommend taking that wheel out. Unless you actually do a lot of paracord cutting, then maybe leave it in. But otherwise, I would ditch the wheel and keep it for that. But there are other options. You can see some of my other videos. Some of the Kershaw Pry tools are much better. Some of the Gerber options are much better for just a straight pry bar. Like I said, I was really excited because I thought it would be, helpful to have a screwdriver bit, but unfortunately it just doesn't work out the way you think it would. So we'll put this to the side and move on. And last but not least, we have the knife of the carry, and this is the Gerber Kettlebell. One thing I noticed right away, and I don't know how well I'm going to be able to show it. Let's see if we can get the flashlight out here and see if we can see it in there. I don't know that you can, but there actually was chips of metal in where the washers were almost immediately. And I don't know if that you can really see that all that well, but and it's not like this is a real smooth knife, even with those washers. It's actually pretty stiff. Like I said, I carry this every day for 2 weeks. So this is the only knife I carried, and I used it quite a bit. And you can open it up, even though it doesn't have a thumb stud or a flipper tab, with just one hand. You can see basically I did a pinch grip, pulled out, and it is a liner lock. I'm sorry, a frame lock. So it does lock in pretty rigidly, and you can close it one-handed, but it's not very smooth. Despite it look like having phosphor bronze washers, it's just not a great feeling knife. It's really stiff, really rigid. Like I said, you'd think with those washers it'd make it smoother, but it's really not, and it's just not a great thing. And again, this is another one where you can see the finish. Like I said, I wasn't real hard on these knives or any of these tools, as a matter of fact. You see the finish is already starting to wear off here on the aluminum. Because I believe this is an aluminum handle on this side, or aluminum frame lock as well. So I think both sides are aluminum. It has a little cutout, I think, which is supposed to be for over travel. But not a great knife, not one that I'm probably going to keep, to be honest. The blade shape is pretty cool, not pretty cool, but it works pretty well. You can get, pretty good grip on it. So you get all 4 fingers on there, the knife, and it does have that little bit of a ramp, so you actually get a good purchase on it. But it's not a lot of blade, to really do a lot of stuff with. It's a pretty small blade, which I do tend to like to carry smaller blades just because of where I work. But it's not real smooth and easy to open. I mean, it is easy to open, but it's just not real smooth, and you can kind of hear it's not like real smooth. It's just not a great knife. I would say that overall, we'll pull everything back out here. Overall, if you're looking at the carries that I did, or the 2 videos that I've done as far as EDC videos, I would honestly go with the Amazon video carry much more readily than I would this one. There's just a lot of flaws in this, unfortunately. Sometimes when you go with online stores, especially online knife stores, you're limited to what they carry, and not all of them will carry flashlights or wallets, or most of them will carry, pens and knives and a pry tool of some sort, or multi-tool, obviously, but they won't carry all this variety. So you're kind of limited by whatever the online store carries. I mean, obviously that's why Amazon's the easiest for you to do a setup like a complete EDC setup, because Amazon has a lot more access to all these. Obviously, they have a lot of wallets, they have a lot of flashlights, a lot of pens, so it's easier to do it in a much lower price point, and at a better price point for each item. So with that being said, I think we'll catch you next time. I actually did see the posting of this video that Taylor from Best Damn EDC did a $100 knife challenge from Amazon. I think I'm going to challenge myself, because I think what he picked in his video isn't necessarily the best, and I think he even said himself that he'd like to do it over. But I think maybe we could do something a little bit better than that. So we're going to challenge ourselves here and on this channel, and see if maybe we can come up with something a little bit better. So look for that video in the future, and we'll catch you guys next time. Thank you.